All right, guys. So I ran across this fascinating but yet sad clip of Jake Tapper at CNN interviewing Amy Klobuchar, who's a Democrat senator from Minnesota, about Bob Dole's funeral. Right? Bob Dole is a former Senate majority leader for the Republican Party. He died at the age of 98 last week, and the politicians were attending his funeral. Now, you would think that this would be a time where a so-called journalist would put his politics aside and to basically ask questions regarding like unity and focusing on Bob Dole and his contributions to this country and what he's done as a politician. But no, instead, Jake Tapper uses this as an opportunity to push a narrative. As Jake Tapper, who's maskless, asked a maskless Amy Klobuchar about an interaction that she had with Ted Cruz at Bob Dole's funeral, in which Ted Cruz, who's maskless, is speaking to Amy Klobuchar, who's wearing a mask, but she's not wearing it correctly, and whether or not she felt that she was in danger by Ted Cruz talking to her maskless. Take a look.
There's something that happened Friday that I wanted to ask you about, if we can bring up the picture. You were at the funeral for former Senator Bob Dole, and you were seated, there you are. You're seated next to a Republican Senator, Ted Cruz, who, as everybody can see, is not masked, despite rules at the National Cathedral requiring all guests to wear masks indoors. Now, you're a breast cancer survivor. You're still recovering, I guess.
I'm 100%.
You're 100% better, but you're still at risk of infection because of this fight that you won. What was going through your mind there, where Ted Cruz pulls up next to you and doesn't have a mask on, even though the rules are, please wear a mask to protect you? You wear the masks to protect other people.
I think people should wear masks, especially when they're in settings when they're supposed to. I think part of our duty as civic leaders is actually to model behavior, because it's not just about masks, it's also about vaccines. And Ted Cruz, he's gotten a vaccine, he gets that. And part of what I don't want to get lost here is why we were there. We were there to honor Bob Dole and his memory. Bob Dole was all about consensus, bringing people together, and let's not forget that. And one of the things I learned at that funeral, which I didn't know, was that Bob Dole was actually strongly supportive of establishing the MLK holiday. He was supportive of civil rights legislation. He did courageous things that were against the grain when called upon.
Yeah.
And in his words, he actually once said that when you look at these things and when you look at what's happening in our country, that courage is about bringing people together, right? And he was someone that I think we need to think about as we take on, I just watched that incredible debate you had, as we take on these things in our country, that we have to find consensus when we can.
All right, so first of all, I want to say shout out to Amy Klobuchar, okay? Even though she's a Democrat, right, and I don't particularly like the Democrats, credit what credit is due. She deflected on that question, right? Because Jake Tapper tried to line it up so that she goes after Ted Cruz to try to say that, well, Ted Cruz was putting her in danger. Okay, and you could tell that Amy Klobuchar picked up immediately the hypocrisy of the question that Jake Tapper was asking. Because again, they're both in the same room. I don't even think they're 6 feet apart. And Jake Tapper does not have a mask on. Amy Klobuchar does not have a mask on. And yet he's asking her about an interaction that she had with Ted Cruz at a funeral in which Ted Cruz just happened to have a mask, right? Again, it's silly, right? It's so silly, okay? And Jake Tapper, who's desperate to drive the narrative that Ted Cruz tried to put Amy Klobuchar's life in danger, is basically trying to tell Amy Klobuchar how she should feel, okay? Oh, as a breast cancer survivor, you're obviously at risk, okay? You're obviously at risk, and you're recovering, right? And she's like, no, I'm 100% recovered, right? I'm 100% recovered. But you have to feel some type of way about Ted Cruz speaking with you maskless, right? And Amy Klobuchar basically says, yes, people should wear masks in settings where, masks are required or whatever. But, Ted Cruz is vaccinated. right? And that's, a part of it as well too. And then she basically deflects to talk about Bob Dole, okay? Which is really what the damn question should have been about from Jake Tapper. However, again, this is an example, guys, of the mainstream liberal media and how they tried to drive the narrative, right? Jake Tapper here had an agenda with this question, right? He had an agenda that he wanted to accomplish. It didn't matter that it's literally hypocrisy right in front of your face, considering the fact, again, he's not wearing a mask, she's not wearing a mask. So, Jake, are you putting Amy Klobuchar in danger, right? Because I can make the same argument. Because you're sitting there without a mask, you're vaccinated, just like Ted Cruz, I believe, is vaccinated. Amy Klobuchar is probably vaccinated. So what's the difference, right? What's the difference? I mean, if anything, you're putting her in more danger because Amy Klobuchar, at least when she was sitting with Ted Cruz, she had on a mask, I guess, right? Maybe that counts for something. But in y'all interview, you had on nothing at all. So can I argue that you knowing that she had breast cancer and that she may be at an elevated risk, can I count that as you putting her life in danger, right? Should we go on Fox News and discuss if Jake Tapper is trying to put Amy Klobuchar's life at risk? Because that seems like the angle that Jake Tapper was trying to get at here. And what I find to be hilarious about this is how he seems so concerned, but yet he's never ran a segment about Joe Biden not wearing a mask, right? I mean, there was a video, guys, and again, I did a video on this, of Joe Biden being inside of a place with no mask. And literally on the front door of the business is you must wear a mask inside. Dude is not wearing a mask. He's one of the only people in the video not wearing a mask. Joe Biden has went to restaurants that require you to wear a mask when you're not eating or sitting. He's walking around, no mask, right? But you don't see anything from Jake Tapper discussing, okay, is Joe Biden putting the lives of his Secret Service agents at risk, right? Is he putting the lives of people around him at risk because he refuses to wear a mask, right? There's video dudes coughing in his hands, coughing and sniffing and doing all types of spreading germs, okay? No mask. And then goes and shakes the hands of people off stage. No mention of CNN. Okay, is Biden being irresponsible here, right? Is Biden being careless? No mention from so-called journalist Jake Tapper. But this man has the unmitigated gall to sit up here and to try to imply that Ted Cruz may have been purposely trying to put Amy Klobuchar in danger because he didn't wear a mask while they were speaking at a funeral, while he's sitting across the table from her with no mask. It tells you what all of this is about, guys. It's not about principle. It's never been about principle. I don't know how many times you guys see this stuff, people don't understand. It's not about principle. It's simply about that team bad, my team good. It doesn't matter if we do the exact same things. I'm gonna criticize them for the things that I do because I just don't like them. Right? That's what it's about. That's what it's about. When again, if he was a fair player, he would be criticizing the Democrats, especially Joe Biden, who has been called maskless multiple times, but he won't do it because it's my team good, right? Doesn't matter what they do. And I will make an excuse for whatever they do, regardless of whether or not it's hypocritical, and Republicans bad, right? Even though Republicans aren't the ones that are pushing for these mask mandates, right? They're not pushing for people to be required to wear masks every single place they go. But you guys are pushing for that. But yet you're sitting here doing an interview, maskless, trying to play mask police on somebody else. It's ridiculous, man. Again, this is a prime example of why our mainstream news, nobody trusts them anymore. This is why CNN is a failing news network. This right here, this piss poor example of so-called journalism, which really, again, is trying to push a partisan attack, right? A bad one at that, right? Just extremely bad one. And disingenuous. Again, trying to put this Democrat senator in an uncomfortable position to attack one of her colleagues over some BS, right? Over something so silly when you're in no room to have this conversation whatsoever, right? You have no room to be trying to attack anybody on this, considering that, again, you're sitting at a table maskless. Again, it's ridiculous, man. It really is. It's unbelievable. I really could not even believe that this man asked this question when I saw that clip. I couldn't believe it, right? They don't care. It's rules for thee, not for me. I'm elite, you're not. That team bad, my team good. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.